I'm going to go ahead and get this meeting started. I want to welcome everybody today to the Tucson Metro Chamber's Knowledge at Noon. I'm Carol Gatewood. I'm the Special Projects Director for the Chamber, and I'm your host today. Our guest speaker is Bree Richmond. She is the Account Director for Caliber Group, and I will let her tell you a little bit more about herself and begin her session with you. If you do have questions, Bree would love to take your actual talking question, or you can also type it into the chat function. So either way, she'll be happy to take your questions. Bree, did you want to hold that a little bit more towards the end, or during the conversation is fine too?
During the conversation is fine too. I just think, we're going to be talking about some high level things, but we're going to get in the weeds with a couple topics. So if people are having questions as we're going through it, don't want you to feel like you have to hold them to the end. So
wonderful. With that, I'm going to mute mine and let you take over, Bree.
Okay. Well, thank you. And thank you to the Tucson Metro Chamber for inviting me to present today. We're going to be talking today about some top digital and social marketing strategy to engage customers during a crisis. It's pretty pertinent right now, obviously. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, I am a third generation Tucsonan, actually. My great grandfather migrated here in 1913 and had a trading post on Congress Street. And my grandfather lived here and owned businesses, and I've been, in and out of Tucson for many years, but this is my home. This is where my roots are, so I really care about Tucson. And, I owned my own business for a while, but now I work for Caliber Group, who has been in Tucson for over 20 years. I'm also on the board of the American Advertising Federation Tucson chapter. I have over 20 years of experience in the marketing and advertising industry. In my role at Caliber Group, what I do as an account director, I really am responsible for managing client relationships. But I also help with, brand storytelling, strategic planning, integrated marketing campaigns. I really have an affinity for digital marketing in particular. And what we really do at Caliber, we help people grow their businesses. We help them add value to their businesses. It's a really comprehensive service that we provide. I also wanted to give a shout out to our president, Carrie Stratford, who's going to be presenting on Friday for the Knowledge at Noon series from 12 to 1. You should register for that. She's going to be talking about some additional strategies to help market, communicate, engage key audiences right now as well. And she'll be taking a little bit of a deeper dive into some of the things that I'm just going to touch on, more around marketing strategies and communication. So what we're really going to be covering today, it's really insight into how to approach digital marketing, paid, organic, both, to encourage engagement during this unprecedented time. I know that people are really confused. People are really scared. People don't quite know how to market their business. And so I'm going to show you some tips with digital advertising and social media that might answer some of those questions and give you some ideas. We're going to talk about high level things, but I'm going to dig in a little deeper and give you some actionable resources as well. I'm going to give you some links to some certain things, that resources from Facebook, Hootsuite, that type of thing, Google Ads, which I will put into the chat at the end of the presentation before Q&A, so that you can copy those and save them somewhere and use them as you need to. So with that, let's dive in. So I guess the first question is, what is digital marketing good for? I don't know that I really need to sell digital marketing so much. I think we all know its value. I mean, at Caliber Group, we really create integrated campaigns for people. So digital advertising really plays a role in that overarching big picture. For our customers and clients, we typically combine digital marketing with traditional marketing, earned media to sort of, really flesh out the whole picture, reach people at different stages of their buying journey, things like that. But there are a lot of things that we really like digital marketing for in particular. One of those things is that it's really adaptable. It's a really easy thing to test different strategies on. You can run campaigns for a short period of time. You can run campaigns for a long period of time. But as you're optimizing and looking at results, you can see basically what people are reacting to, responding to, what's leading people to perform the action or conversion that you want them to perform. And it really enables you to sort of turn on a dime and re-strategize based on what things are performing well in order to get the most out of your investment. It's also a great way to learn about your audience. I think it happens quite often when people think they know their audience and then they run digital ads or even just through organic social media. And if you're looking at the right insights on your audiences and really doing your work with metrics reports, you can find a lot about them that you probably didn't know beforehand. Their affinities, their demographics, the types of content they respond to. So that's also a really valuable part of digital marketing. And then, you really can tailor the message to that particular person and their particular part in the buying journey. So, oftentimes we'll sort of map a user journey to the marketing funnel. And, there's different types of tactics that work to speak to someone who's higher up in the marketing funnel, for example. And that might be Facebook, where you're just trying to, or programmatic ads, where you're just trying to build that awareness and get impressions, versus someone who's lower in the funnel that you're really trying to, have click through to the website and convert in some way, fill out a form, make a phone call. But there are just tons of different ways you can use digital marketing, not just to, sell a product or service, but to generate leads, to nurture leads, to convert leads into customers, to retain your current customers, to continue to sell them products, and ultimately to make advocates out of your best customers. I think one of the most important things in running a successful digital marketing campaign is doing your homework. There's stuff that you need to do before you get going that is going to really determine the successfulness of your campaigns. Some of those things, it's really important to, define your audience, understanding who you're talking to, understanding what makes them tick, their demographics, their psychographic characteristics, understanding what they're buying, what are their pain points, how can you help them, what is something that you can give them that they find of value, and where can you reach them, where do they spend their time. It's also important to watch the landscape, learn about your competitors. That's another thing with digital marketing, that oftentimes people think they know who their competition is, which might be true when it comes from a product standpoint. When it comes from a digital standpoint, oftentimes there are players that they hadn't had on their radar that are identified. We've done several different, competitive analyses for some of our clients where we're taking their business and comparing it to their competitors, and we see time and time again that they didn't realize someone was, outbidding them on a specific keyword, or, overplaying them in the digital ad space, and so they are their competition. They weren't aware. So it's important to really understand those competitors, kind of figure out, where are they advertising? What are the messages they're using? What are their calls to action? Because they might have already pressure tested some strategies that could work really well. So, you might want to try some of their tactics in your plan as well. You also need to make sure you know your own product or service very well. You know, what are your key differentiators? You're going to need to cut through the clutter. You're going to need to appeal to people in a very particular way in order for them to choose your product or service over someone else's. So you need to really figure out what makes it special, what makes it stand out against the competition, what gives it an edge. We always encourage doing, you know, a high-level SWOT analysis where you're figuring out your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats before embarking on any sort of campaign, and really honing in on where your opportunities are to outperform your competition. So, you know, there's a lot of people that are saying right now that you shouldn't be advertising. You know, if you can't sell stuff right now, there's no point in investing in the digital advertising campaign. I mean, we all know, obviously, the economy has been hit very hard by this pandemic. Things are really uncertain right now. Consumer confidence is at an all-time low. People don't want to spend money on things that they consider frivolous. But, you know, selling things isn't the only component of the business. There are lots of different ways you can use digital marketing to help your business grow during this time. So I want to show you a couple of different ways besides just selling stuff. So besides just driving sales, there's also other ways that you can engage your audience in conversations, you can generate leads, and you can grow your audience. It's really important to sort of take a more long-term mindset right now and think about where you want to be positioned and how you want to be set up when things hopefully turn around. So, you know, if you are willing to invest in digital ads right now, even if you're just, you know, breaking even in terms of revenue that you're generating, but at the end of it, you have grown your audience by 2 or 3 times, or you've generated a ton of leads, then you'll be well positioned, you know, when the economy improves and competition increases again. And you can use organic tactics like social media to nurture your audience. You can offer some free content that they find is useful. It won't necessarily increase sales, but people remember that kind of thing. You know, when you help them in times of crisis, when they're ready to grow and expand again, you'll be top of mind and they'll remember you because you gave them something that helps them when times were tough. So obviously right now the coronavirus is affecting the way we do business in every single way. You know, I think that early during the crisis, we were hoping that the economic damage and the recovery would sort of be a V shape, where it would be a quick free fall and then a quick recovery. But things aren't really necessarily looking like they might pan out like that. You know, the lockdown situation, the behavioral changes that everyone's gone through, it's going to affect people, businesses, government, just everything. The way we consume things, what we're consuming, what sorts of things are in demand. You know, normal's pretty much gone right now, and we don't know when quote unquote normal is going to come back. So we need to sort of plan for the long term and pivot our strategies now so that, you know, when it does come back around, however long that might be, that we're set up to succeed. There's also lots of opportunity right now. Markets are stable, there's opportunity, but, you know, when markets are going up and down, there's actually even more opportunity. If you approach the situation not from a panic mindset, not from making short-sighted decisions that are based in fear, but if you're able to make rational, long-term decisions, you'll have the edge over your competition. You know, that cliche, obviously, the only constant is change. We have to turn challenges into opportunities right now. That's what's going to help us, not only as businesses, but as people, to survive and thrive during this time. So, one thing for sure, we can't just rely on evergreen tactics anymore as businesses. We can't just, write a bunch of social posts, for example, push play and walk away. We have to be examining everything we're putting out there and shift and respond to the world around us in order to be effective. You definitely need to look at any advertising or social posts that you have going out right now and ask if you're serving your audience during this crisis. And if the answer is no, if that post or that message isn't really giving them something of value right now, then you should pivot your message and your approach. And Carrie will be talking more about some of those strategies on Friday, as I mentioned. One good piece of news is that digital ads are going to get a lot cheaper. So, projections state that Facebook and Google ads could be losing roughly $50 to $100 billion in ad revenue in 2020. So that means ads will get cheaper, which will increase the reach of your campaigns and your ad investment, return on investment exponentially. Facebook and Google, as some of you probably know, operate on an auction model. So that means the more you bid, the more your ad will be seen. And since a lot of competitors are going to be pulling back on their digital ad spend right now, it might actually be a good time for you to increase your spend for a few months. It's going to, make conversions a lot cheaper. Sometimes the ads will drop by half in some cases as far as expense. The things that we look at are CPMs, which are cost per 1,000 impressions, CPCs, which are cost per click, CPAs, which are cost per acquisition, and CPLs, which are cost per lead, and those are all going to get much cheaper in the coming months. The other thing to consider are, there are so many people working from home, homeschooling, all of that. There's more impressions to be had. There's more eyes on the screen, and so that's going to actually, it's roughly double the amount. So that's going to increase your reach and your number of impressions you're able to get as well. Another good piece of news is that Google and Facebook are going to be granting assistance to small businesses affected by COVID-19. They're giving advertising credits, and Facebook ads is actually offering some cash grants for those affected. And I'm going to give you some details on that here. So who's eligible? So for Google ads, it's for small and medium-sized businesses that have been active advertisers with Google ads since January of last year. And for Facebook ads, it's just eligible small businesses in over 30 countries. They've been kind of vague about it, but I have links. Like I said, I'll chat these to everybody at the end of this. How to find out more. Basically what will happen with Google ads is you'll log into your Google ad account and it will just pop up with a notification saying that you have some ad credits. So that'll be great. And then there's a link I'll give you guys to show you where, additional updates you can find on how to get those grants. Facebook ads, you can sign up for email updates and how to apply and eligibility and all of that through a link I'll send you. And then timing, Google ads can be used up through the end of this year, December 31st, and you can use them throughout the Google ecosystem. You can use them on search, display, YouTube, and any campaign type. And Facebook ads will be taking applications in the next few weeks. So there's also some resources I'll give you the links to through Facebook. They've launched a business resource hub to help you manage your business disruption during COVID-19. They have tools like a business resiliency plan, how to stay in touch with customers, etc. And they're also offering one-on-one business support so that you can connect directly with a marketing expert. So I think I'd be remiss if I didn't also talk a little bit about landing pages and websites and things just super quickly, because any digital ad campaign is not going to be successful if where you're driving them is not set up in a way to actually, convert people to perform the action that you want them to perform. So I'm just going to run through some of our top 10 landing page best practices. And I'll go through these one at a time, but these are the top 10 things that we recommend: that you have a benefit-focused headline, that your image really illustrates the offer on your landing page, that you really create compelling copy that guides your visitor to do what you want them to do, that you position the lead form above the fold. Above the fold is just when you pull up a website, what can you see without having to scroll? You need to have a clear call to action. It's always great if you can give them some sort of an offer or a discount that's relevant to them. We also recommend removing all the navigation on the page so that you're streamlining people to perform one action and they don't get confused and start surfing around and forget what they were there to do. And then you should thank them with some sort of automatic, reply once they submit a form. And then you can retarget to bring them back if they say, we're on the page, but they didn't complete the form or make the call or do what you wanted them to do. So here's an example of a benefit-focused headline. Always fresh, sometimes normal. This is Misfits Market, and they sell less than perfect produce. So we just thought this was an interesting example of a way that someone gave you a quick read on exactly what the benefit is. Use images that really show you, what you want people to look like after they've consumed your product or service. How good are they going to feel? How happy are they going to be? How they want to be seen, not necessarily how they see themselves, but how they want to be seen. This one's a little small, but compelling copy that really guides the user's actions, bullet points, breaking copy up, making sure that you're communicating to them in a linear fashion and really pulling them in to do exactly what you want them to do. Again, putting the lead form above the fold. Sometimes you can have like a hovering chat window or something, but just make it really easy for people to reach out. Clear call to action, it should be very simple, very straightforward. When a person clicks that button, what they expect to happen should happen. There should be no guesswork. And it should also probably stand out on the page so you're visually drawn to it. Giving away an offer, it's sort of, part of your lead's journey to your ultimate offer, your product or service. So a lot of times a conversion on a landing page would be something like, I'm filling a form out. The ultimate conversion is obviously they're buying something, but this is a part of that path. And you're sort of like bargaining with them, give me your personal information, so it's like, what's in it for me? What are you going to give me back? So sometimes people will give something away for free in order that people might, be in there for the long haul and purchase something at the end. Removing navigation, the inset outlined in red is what the normal navigation looks like. And then in the background, you'll see that that's all been stripped out. And you're just giving everybody a short, quick read on one page of the information that they really will help them to, perform the action you want them to perform. Giving them a quick thank you message once they've signed up and letting them know what happens next. And then, as I said, if they didn't complete the form or they bounced off the page, there are ways to retarget them on different websites. So, by adding something like a retargeting pixel or something like that, which is based off cookies and, can show up in different places that they surf on the web after they've left your page. I know that was a crash course, but, really important to set up think about the whole user journey. I see the ad, I click the ad, what happens next? Where do I go? Is it easy for me to figure out what I want to do next? Is it easy for me to convert? Is it easy for me to reach out? Okay, so now on to the organic social media portion. You know, there's a lot of ways to engage audiences on organic social right now, and there's a lot of traffic out there right now. How you approach it, how you handle your brand, how you communicate, it's kind of, it can be scary, but there are definitely some best practices that we'll share to make it hopefully a little less scary. And we're going to look at some brands that are doing it well so that you have something to reference. So really important, as I mentioned, look at what you're sending out there. Look at your social calendar, look at your posts, look at your messages, and make sure that it still applies now. Context shifts really rapidly in a crisis, so something that might have been great last week might not be appropriate this week. So just make sure you're reviewing that stuff often, because you could either seem tone deaf, or worst case scenario could really damage your brand reputation. I think it's also important right now to get your social media policy and guidelines buttoned up if you have employees. Also to protect your brand reputation. The difference between a policy and a guideline, the guideline is really just sort of, best practices, sort of the rules and regulations, that sort of thing are laid out in the policy. So it's like the guidelines sort of say, this is how we do things on social media for this company, and the policy holds people to actually, behaving that way on social. And this extends to, employees' personal accounts too. I think it's really important, that you're monitoring what they're saying as well, to make sure that they're not going against what you're trying to put out there as a company, and make sure that if they've signed that policy, that you're holding them to that standard. It's good also to assemble what's called a tiger team, which really is just, who's posting updates, who's responding to comments, who's tending to social listening and brand monitoring. It's really important to have clear duties assigned and know who's responsible for what. Also important to make sure that your employees know your organization's position. If you're announcing relief efforts, if you're giving donations, if you're doing something else for the greater good, your employees can help spread the word. If you're, in the food service industry or the restaurant business, and you've switched your hours, you're doing drive-through or pickup, or same for bars, what are those hours? How are you doing it? What are you doing to be safe? Making sure that your whole team is on the same page and they really clearly understand how your business has adapted to this time is really important. Communicating with honesty, openness, compassion, it's really that simple. The brands who build trust during hard times are the ones who are transparent about the issues they're dealing with. So there's a lot of opportunity to create human connections through social media right now, especially at a time when we're all really starved for human connections. Here's an example. I thought this was really well done. This is from Chiquita Banana. So they really went the extra mile to reorient, push pause, reorient themselves, and integrate this new way of life into their brand with this hashtag stay home messaging. So the post says, the world's most famous banana brand noticed Miss Chiquita missing from our logo. She's social distancing at home, and we hope you are too. Hashtag stay home, hashtag stay safe. So they actually changed their logo. So I thought that was really taking it the extra mile, and it really makes an impression on people, and it makes it feel like, oh, this brand's in it with us for the long haul. So it's good. You can also use social media listening and monitoring to stay informed. It's a really direct line to your audience, so you should tap in, figure out what they're really engaging with, listen to some of their conversations, Monitor your brand, mentions of your brand, that type of thing. There are a lot of tools out there, which I'll talk about in a minute, that help with that. So you can do it all in one place. It's also important to avoid trend jacking or activities that appear profit driven. You just be careful about throwing in hashtags and buzzwords just for the sake of, the SEO benefit. If it's not relevant to your message, then you don't want to attempt to spin a crisis, because that could really damage your relationship with your audience. Here's an example of that. I don't want to slam anyone, but I just think it's important to show an example of what not to do. So this actually comes from a PR firm, shockingly enough. And it says, our PR agency started preparing for COVID-19 epidemic 15 years ago. So it's business as usual for the Axia team. Let us know if we can help guide your company with external communications during this challenging time. Be well. And, the post just kind of comes across as strange, like a unappreciated brag around the pandemic, and it's really not appropriate. I think it's also really important not to just disappear, not to just throw your hands up and say, I'm too afraid to say anything, so I'm not going to say anything at all. So it might be, important for you to pause and strategize, but really radio silence is not a good long-term strategy. It's also important to leave room for questions. People will have questions. You should be clear about the best way for them to reach you. Even if you're not deluged with panicked customer service inquiries, you should still be taking the time to engage with your audience, answering their questions, providing reassurance. I know that Facebook Messenger app and, any one-on-one sort of messaging component to things like social media, or they have something, an inbox feature in Hootsuite. Those have all seen a dramatic uptick in people trying to communicate with customers and customers reaching out. That's just another really great way to communicate to them. Here's an example from Clorox Wipes. Sorry, it's a little blurry, but they did a really good job responding to this person, Nellie, who was asking about, what's the difference between disinfecting and sanitizing? Do we really have to wipe the surface for 4 minutes as per the instructions to kill germs? And they had a really good, clear, accurate answer for her. And it's important to respond quickly and accurately to people, customers, or not customers, just anyone who has questions for you. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple more examples for social media, because I thought it was really interesting to see how other people provide valuable content. Maybe spark something for you in your business. This one comes from Well Simple. They're basically encouraging app users to think strategically about the super emotional topic of money during the downturn, economic downturn. So it's fulfilling a genuine informational need, but it also shows a lot of empathy toward what people are thinking and feeling. So it's all about, is it time to buy a home, right? So the market crash, should I buy in the dip? And it's, this little decision tree that basically shows, do you have debt? Yes or no? Do you have an emergency fund? Yes or no? So it's something really helpful that, users would find useful. There's also a lot of online companies that are offering free stuff right now in this housebound economy that sort of help with self-isolation. This company, 10% Happier, it's a meditation app, and they took the opportunity to get even closer to their audience by not using pre-recorded audio, but actually doing daily live streaming. Which is actually a sort of stealthy way to convert people, but since it provides something of value to them, it's not seen as a, overtly hard selling tactic. So smaller businesses can use social media in great ways too. This is Bell Jar Botanicals out of Montreal, And, you know, just admitting that you need help is really hard. In this post, you know, they say, you know, if people want to purchase a to be redeemed later bouquet, they can do so, and then just, you know, they could schedule the delivery anytime before the end of the year. So it's a really great way of just like being honest and vulnerable and saying, you know, we need your help, and here's how you can help us. Then we have the David Suzuki Foundation. It was also a really great tactic of just, you know, providing support and value to their audience. They posted a week's worth of digital forest bathing for people who are stuck indoors. So it was just, here are a bunch of beautiful images to break up your Facebook feed and give you a sort of respite from, you know, all the crazy news coming at us all the time. So with that, I'd like to talk just a little bit about how to get teams to be able to work together on a strategy remotely, because it is very challenging right now for some people. Tools like Sprout Social, Buffer, Hootsuite are really great resources for social listening, for scheduling posts, for managing comments and messages from various streams. You can assign posts to certain members in stuff like Hootsuite, which is helpful. There's another offer from Hootsuite where, you know, if you're an organization that's in an affected industry, which they're considering restaurants, hotels, event venues, performing arts, etc., they're offering free access to the professional version of their software until July 1st. And I'll give that link to you all, but there's also, you know, a lot of training videos and things through Hootsuite that they're offering. Things to help you educate, engage with your audience, to create content efficiently, to manage crisis communications. There's a lot of really great tools there. You can also just schedule posts, you know, through the actual platform, but you can use something like Creator Studio in Facebook, which lets you do your Facebook and Instagram posting and answering comments and things in one place. You should also install the apps that you need on your phone, like Facebook Pages or, you know, the individual social media apps, in order to monitor comments and respond quickly. And you can also install the Hootsuite app if you end up using Hootsuite, and then that will show you all of your social streams and comments in one place. So the last little bit I'll talk about is evaluating results. So how do you know if things are working, right? I think it's really important, especially right now, to be evaluating constantly, especially in the beginning when you kick off a campaign. Let's say you do decide to invest in digital ads right now because you're, you know, going to get more for your money. You know, you wouldn't want to just create an ad and then just let it go and turn your back and wait 90 days and see what happens. You know, would definitely, one of the ways that we do it is you create a number of posts and you know, monitor them daily, and you see which ones are quote unquote your breadwinners. So the ones that are outperforming all the others, you keep those on and you sort of start to turn off some of the others. Also, the way that ads are set up on many platforms now, they're dynamic or responsive. So it's really, you're monitoring not only the platforms that you're using, but what ads are working within those platforms, and then what components of those ads are working. So video outperforms still images 9 out of 10 times. You know, what headlines are working, what descriptions are working. Monitoring your keywords that you're bidding on, that type of thing is really important. And the metrics that we use to tell us whether or not our campaigns are working for organic are the following 10. So page impressions, that's really just the number of unique people who saw your content. You can break those down by paid and unpaid sources. total engagements. That's just basically a tally of likes, favorites, reactions, comments, shares, views, clicks. It's a really all-encompassing metric, usually used for Facebook and social media like that. Reach, that's just how many people have come across your content on a particular platform. Page views, how many times someone viewed your timeline on a social platform. Profile views, anytime somebody just looks at a part of your profile, that's what that's called. Total followers is obviously how many people have liked your page since its inception. Types of posts, you know, the types of content people are engaging with, special offers, videos, images, that type of thing. Page positive feedback, how many positive reviews or ratings have you received? Consumptions is really just anybody clicking anywhere in your post, but you can break it down to video views, link clicks, etc. And then audience insights gives you information on your audience, like, you know, are they male or female? What's their age? Where are they geographically located? And you can drill down into affinities, which are things like, you know, are they a movie buff? Are they a foodie? And that can help help you reframe your content and maybe appeal to them or write things that you would be more along those lines as an organic social post. Paid metrics, these are the big ones, but there's tons of others you can use too. Clicks is obvious. How many clicks has your ad received? Impressions, how many people saw your ad? CPM is cost per 1,000 impressions. We really like this one because it helps you compare things more on an apples to apples basis. So it's a more high level view. Certain platforms are good at doing different things, like programmatic ads or display ads, for example, are great at brand awareness and driving impressions, whereas like a Google search ad would be really good at driving clicks to the website, or a Facebook ad would be really good at driving engagement. So, you know, this is kind of one of those sort of one size fits all metric, if you will. So it's easier to see, okay, we're putting in this much money and this is what we're getting out. Cost per click is pretty obvious too, but it's the price you pay for each ad click, and you calculate that by dividing the total cost of your clicks by the total number of clicks. So, you know, I guess to sum it up, obviously it's tricky to navigate social media and digital marketing right now, but hopefully we've given you some food for thought, some helpful tips and tricks and strategies to help your business survive and thrive right now. And with that, if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer those. And I didn't see anything come through on chat, but I'm not sure if I'm just not seeing it.
Bree, we did have a question.
Okay.
It came from Celine, and it says, can you please expand on why it's expected that digital ads expected to get cheaper?
Yeah. So as I was saying, you know, there are a couple different components to that. The fact that there are more people on screen mean there are more impressions to be had. So that's one way. Another way is that the competition is going to back off. So, you know, when you're competitively bidding on something like a keyword in an auction-based system, and your competition backs off, it makes it easier for you to get that keyword for a cheaper price, for example. Same with Facebook ads and, you know, Google display. You're competing with other people for, you know, airspace, you know, screen space, if you will. So when the competition goes away, then, you know, it's that much easier for you to spend less money and get more impressions. Hope that makes sense.
And Bree, this is Celine, actually. Thank you for that response. I have an additional question, and that is, what are your thoughts on kind of veering away from our principal service? So we're compliance consultants for medical devices, and writing articles that are kind of more timely, so stress of working at home, things of that. Or would you really stay focused on the goal of your company?
I think it's important to combine them, right? It's like, you know, there's tons of articles and information coming at people right now. Why would they want to get that from you? Like, what spin on it can you give that particular article, you know, that might have more relevance for what people are looking at and thinking about right now, but as it pertains to your business or the thing that you offer? So I think unless there's a way that you can really spin it and make it, you know, have its own voice as to why it would be coming from you, it's probably best to just, talk to not go there. You know, I mean, because there's so many things out there right now, and really the sentiment is different in different parts of the world. Excuse me, on, you know, is it bad to just be talking about your product and service right now, or do you have to tailor every single message to be about what we're going through? And it's, you know, mixed results right now. But I just think you don't want to be glaringly obvious if you're saying something that, you know, isn't appropriate right now. That's something to really look at. But don't try to sort of like, you know, capitalize on, you know, what content people are consuming right now just for the sake of driving web traffic or things like that. Make sure you have your own voice in it. Hope that helps. So I wanted to chat these resources to you guys too. So let me see if I can do that quickly.
Bree?
Yeah.
If you look under the group chat, Linda's also put some comment in there if you would like to.
Oh, there it is. I'm going to stop my share because I think that's messing me up. Hopefully that's okay with everyone. Yeah, I couldn't see the chat when I was sharing my screen. I'm going to just type these resources in really quick if it'll let me. No, it's not letting me. So that everybody can have the link. It's not letting me. Well, maybe we can find a way to send these out to everybody afterwards. It's not letting me paste them in the chat, but anyway. Let's see. In addition to, from Linda, in addition to my input, media costs are expected to decrease because the available inventory has increased due to decreased demand, and media are decreasing their costs to maintain cash flow for their businesses. Some media platforms like Facebook and Google are providing grants to help their clients survive. They assume this action will increase brand loyalty and trust as a result of these actions. So Linda is the CEO of the company Caliber that I work for. So those were her helpful tips on top of what I said about that question. Yeah, let's see. And I think that was all the questions.
Hi, Bree. This is Ashley LaRussa with Rue Events. I just want to thank you so much for taking time today for this very valuable knowledge, especially during these times.
I hope it was helpful.
Definitely. I wanted to ask you, during these times, especially during COVID, are you finding locally more businesses and marketing collaborating together, coming together towards one focus, one hashtag, unity, as it were, as for brands as well as a state brand as it is, Arizona?
You were breaking up a little bit at the end, but I think what your question was really about, like, are people coming together to sort of co-market and create hashtags and try to reframe the conversation? I've definitely seen that. You know, some of my friends that a couple of them might be on the call, have local businesses, and I've seen, you know, one of my friends in particular, she knows who she is, but do a great job of really reframing, repositioning, re-strategizing, and it always helps to see, like, she'll advertise other businesses, you know, on her social channels and say, hey, we went, you know, we got lunch for everybody here that's, you know, helping whatever our drive, you know, the pickup, the people that are providing the pickup orders for today, you know, and cross promoting each other and creating that sense of community. I mean, people are starved for community right now. So I think any time that you can come together and show how you're helping each other, and how you're sort of, you know, putting competition aside and just trying to, you know, help boost each other's businesses, I think that's always a great idea. And then if you're marketing together, you know, it's cheaper, you know, too. If you're going to do something that's paid, that decreases your cost as well. So, you know, you'll have to share the attention a little, but I think it's a great strategy.
Thank you, Bree.
Yeah. Cool.
Do we have any other questions today? Well, we really want to welcome, I'm happy for everyone to be here. We have lots of more topics coming up in the next couple weeks. Please go to our website and sign up for anything that you're interested in following. And also, if you have a topic you would like to talk about, please let us know as well. So with that, I guess we will conclude the meeting and we'll see everybody again tomorrow.
Thanks, Bree.